All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. It's very obvious, very, very obvious that we are facing a lot of societal changes that are going on here in the world today. And most of them are going against the moral conscious or the moral consciousness of the majority. Just like we have in the financial realm, we have 1% or less than 1% of the world that's actually ruling the whole entire world. We have a very small minority of people that not only have they with this continuous attack, but they have some way, somehow been able to affect change in secular government. We're also watching a mass amount of civil disobedience, be it from the actual ones who's supposed to be enforcing the law, or those who are choosing to flex their muscles to exercise their rights because they simply see that their civil liberties are being eroded from them right beneath their feet. And of course, you can tell that we are in the decline like ancient Rome for those of us who are students of history, because we see the writing on the wall. Anytime you see government keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, where they feel like they have to micromanage your life, and it doesn't afford you the liberties that you have from natural law, and then the so-called liberties that these people believe in this piece of paper called the Constitution, which has been null, nil, and void for quite some time in this world. There are a lot of people that are simply just not going to capitulate to whatever the government says, especially when it infringes on their rights of life, liberty, and their pursuit of happiness. Government is seeking more and more and more control over the people, and they're passing laws in order to get it. Now, what's disturbing and what's troubling to me, and it has always been troubling to me when I read history and study history, is that when is enough is enough. I mean, for a song and a dance, for some Federal Reserve notes, something that ain't even really legitimately money and stuff. You mean to tell me that you're willing to sell out the public in order to receive a paycheck? And again, that's why I keep saying Braveheart is one of those classic movies that pretty much tell you exactly what's going on today. We're blinded by a lot of things because of modern day conveniences. They seem to skew our sight to the point that we just simply cannot see. Well, also, I'm a voice crying in the wilderness. And many people cry in this wilderness, and they do it many different ways. For instance, the survivalists or preparedness people, they often talk about, finding a homestead. That's how they put it in or a place to bug out to. And they usually tell you out into, the woodline somewhere, or have your place prepared, a place where you can cache food, cache weapons and stuff. I'm of the mind, I'm not going to be bugging out because I didn't sit here and spend all this time, energy, and effort on this land right here to be bugging out. I'm bugging in. And that's my philosophy. Now, you can take it where you want it or leave it. But, it's obvious that what I've been telling those of you who exercise the faith and believe in the book, and that's not everyone, just because someone put a label in front of them and say that they are a certain religion does not mean that they actually exercise the faith of Abraham. It's a sad state of affairs we find ourselves in, because as the years go by and continue to keep going by, I'm looking a whole lot more intelligent than most people had given me credit for. I think about it. Obviously, it's obvious that we have a community, and then on our community we have common unity. And then out there in the world, most you live in a community, but you live in a community where your neighbors could be homosexuals, or they could be a lesbian, or they could be transvestites, or they could be racist. You know what I mean? At least here on our little plot of land and ground, we are all focused on one thing, and that is holiness unto the Father. And we have a pretty decent community. At least we believe so, and people tell us that when they come. But it's very important that you cannot do this thing alone. I mean, that's the message I want to stress in the hour that we're living in, because no matter how bad things get, be it natural disaster, an act of God that people call it, or a mob or a group who wants to come and tries to do, some type of injustices or evil against you or your people. It's obvious that of the faith, and you should have taken my advice a long time ago. We're going to have to, we're all being forced into tribal mentalities, whether you like it or not, to where we're going to have to actually put forth the best interest of the tribe first. Selfishness is just simply will not fly whenever you're talking about people who living in a community setting or a common unity. And I tell you, I've never seen selfishness like the selfishness of people who are like 60 years old and above. It's like they got a totally different mindset. They'll sit and agree. Oh, yeah, everything is right. But when you watch them in function, some of the most selfish, inconsiderate people you have ever seen in your life. And in my generation, let's go down from like 59 to, I guess, 45, something like that. You're looking at a lazy generation, a generation that simply just does not want to work. I'm not saying that this is conducive all the way across the board. I'm just telling you what I see in function. I can tell men what to do all day long and tell them years in advance. And you know how many actually takes that advice to do it? Hardly any. Less than 0.5% actually really truly does what I say. The hope is in the generation, and I want to put a big gap in here because the people between the 45 and the 35, they're somewhere teetering in here. But the hope is the generation from like 34 years old all the way down to 18 years old. That's where the strength of any particular life or community is going to come from, because those are the people that they're educated, some of them. They're workers. They can literally work in order to accomplish a mission and get things done, because, it's one thing for people to stack up in a house and try to conserve resources and stuff. But while you're doing that, if you're not studying and reading the books, I'll give you an example here for a second. All right. I'm just going to pull some off the shelf over here for a second. All right. I'm going to show you something. Y'all just bear with me just for a second, okay? Just bear with me for a second, okay? And I've done this before. If I've done it once, I've done it 1,000 times. If while you're in the cities and you're stacking up Federal Reserve notes, you're looking for land to buy and stuff, and you're not making the maximum use of your time, like, books like these, reading these books, studying these books, because it's just like in school. You go to college, and the base stuff that you learn from the occupation you choose, chances are it's not going to benefit you at all on the job. You may have a foundation to where you can understand the scope and understand how things are going to function and work. But, if you don't get these, it's one thing to have them on the shelf. It don't mean nothing because you buy it and put it on the shelf. Oh, I got the books. That doesn't mean nothing. That means nothing. You've got to get it. For instance, look at this book right here. You can see it's kind of old a little bit. The pages, it's kind of worn and stuff a little bit, because I've been into this book. Marking, laying out. I've got notes in the top of this one right here. And I can go all day long showing you and trying to be an example to you as a people. But again, if you don't, it's one thing to buy the book, but if you don't study that book, and you don't immerse yourself in it, you're not going to learn anything. So when it does time for you to come out here and get into practical application, then you are getting ready to build something or do something, you run across something, the thought would never enter into your mind because you have never put nothing into it. That's like this Bible right here, these Bibles. I tell people, go buy this. You can buy it all day long. Just because you buy it does not mean you know what's in it. And this is the roughest thing we're having right here, because I can tell people all day long what to do, but I'm not going to do it for you. I had nobody to do it for me. I'm not going to do it for you. I can save you a lot of steps. All of you out there that are listening, if you watch these videos and take heed, but I cannot do it for you because I'm only one man. I just simply cannot do it for you. You have got to have some type of inspiration, unction, and drive that is independently in you. And that's all there is to it. You know, I chuckle because, you know, people would come here at Straightway. And they'd come here because the first house you see when you come down the road is this one right here. This house. You know, Pastor Dow, I laid just about every single block to my house. I built just about all the furniture in my house. I've had Elder Doug help me frame, and Elder Doug run the electricity and do the plumbing, do a lot of plumbing. You can pretty much say that we the ones that done this. But for the main structure and foundation, I've done it, period. And the people go, well, why in the world are some of the people living in trailers, but they don't know nothing about us because they have not seen the whole layout of the land. But you know what's amazing? A heathen out there could have a $400,000 house and nobody ever questions him. And I assure you, my house don't cost nowhere near that much because I built it myself. I'm not like the rest of these people in the world that say, okay, we built our house in such and such so and so, and all you did was go in debt and pay and then pay somebody else to do it. That ain't the way I function. As a young man, I thought about that, and I'm not getting on anybody else that does. I'm trying to show you something because all that money that you're paying. And interest just on a mortgage alone, why would you want to go do that? It just don't make sense. It's nonsensical. You could immerse yourself in learning how to build, and at a fraction of the cost that you would build a home out there, you could build it here. So people would say, well, why is Pastor Dow in that house right there? First of all, see, again, no, let me just let you in on something. This used to be a fellowship hall, a gym, and a fellowship hall. And I lived 9 years without running water. Myself and Sister Carol, we used Camper Clem, composting toilets. And that's how we got by. That's how we got by in our own home. And people would come and visit us, and they would say, "Well, the restroom." I say, "Well, there's a composting toilet back there." And many of them never even heard what it was. They, okay, compost toilet. Then they go back there and they see it. They go, I said, if you can't handle that, you can walk up there to the shower house. There's more modern day facilities and conveniences up there. But they simply just couldn't get past putting their rear end on the bucket. Amazing. Utterly amazing. And I lived like that 9 years. Great sacrifice. Well, today we don't have people in this generation that is willing to make that kind of sacrifice. Very few people. Pastor Fox and them are doing it. Pastor Fox and them are doing it because, I mean, you're dealing with two ex-soldiers, though, you know what I mean, that have a total different mindset and way of functioning and stuff, and there's always a means to an end. Now Pastor Fox has got a house out there that him and Sister Kate built, literally. And they're enjoying it. And so when you go all winter and not have too much heat and you get a wood stove in there, whoo, you wouldn't believe how happy you are with the simple things. But you know the good thing about it is that every time you buy a 2x4, you nail it together, you put it in the home, it's yours. Every time you learn how to lay block and you put it into a building that you call your home, it's yours. That's just a beautiful thing about it is that it is yours. It belongs to you. And when you actually go out there and put your hands to something and you really put forth the blood, the sweat, the tears, the time, the effort, and the energy, you have a total different care about things than if you just moved into some place and you contributed nothing but Federal Reserve notes. No, you have a total different attitude when you build it, when you are the one who is there operating it, you're keeping up with the upkeep of it. You look at things totally different. That's the way it is on the community here. And, you know, it's amazing because we have a beautiful people, diverse group of people here on this community. And they're all wonderful people. You know, the good thing about us, you're probably not going to meet a better people than what we have at this particular time on Straightway. And we're at peace. I actually put a portion of our life on display in order to encourage you, to try to help you, to show you that it can be done. There's many people try to successfully start off doing this, only come to find out that they bit off more than they chewed, because this has to be transformed. You see, if you don't do what I tell you to, I've got almost 20 years experience at this. Well, I actually got 20 years experience because when I started doing this, a matter of fact, this year, I'm at 20 years experience. 17 living on this land. But when you take the time, effort, and energy to do all these things and stuff, and then it's yours, and you build as you go, and you try to make sure you don't amass too much debt, and you get it paid off. I mean, man, the satisfaction of it is a wonderful thing. And then you get people that come of like mind, like precious faith. This is our home, and that's why we put so much into it, because it is our home. And these are our brothers and sisters. See, my neighbors are people who keep the commandments. People who have been transformed by the renewing of their mind. They had part of the ministry. They get it. No pedophiles, no homosexuals, no gays, no lesbians, no adulterers, no fornicators, no whoremongers, no liars, no cheats, no scoundrels. That's what I live around every single day. And yet I got this unregenerated world out here, especially religious people. They take issue with us because we don't want them in our lifestyle. No. And we don't open up our doors to everybody out here, because we came from that lifestyle and we know very well how human beings are. And so, we're very careful, very meticulous about who we allow to come through our gates. Here we are. Well, what's amazing? What's amazing is that everybody out here can have a gate and nobody says nothing. But when we have a gate, all of a sudden something's wrong. It's amazing the things that happen and the ideals that people come up with when you keep the commandments. It's utterly amazing. Just keeping the commandments. Just keeping the commandments. I have no doubt. I have all type of government institutions that are viewing us, looking at us. Keep going, have fun. But the one thing what I'm saying about this video is that the government or nobody's going to tell us how we're going to live our life. Just like many patriots out there, you're not going to allow the government to tell you how to live your life. And we're not going to be force-fed to receive immorality and things that the Bible called an abomination into our lives. It's not going to affect any change in our mind or change our mind. We're going to continue to keep exalting what that Bible says. Outside of this community world, live where you want to live, do what you want to do, because you're going to do it anyway. But when it comes to this community right here, we care about those who are in the ministry that support us, and mentally we care about them. It's obvious when we come together for feast days and stuff to see our brothers and sisters. Man, there's such a joy, an overwhelming joy that comes over our hearts. It's such a beautiful thing. And we care about the people who have made the sacrifice to move around the community, that supports the ministry, that gets it. That's just another step in a move in order to hopefully one day to be on the community. And then the people that we have that live here on the community itself, we just love them. And then all the other communities that we're developing. But you keep doing the same things you always have done. This is to everybody out there. You want to get the same results? Nothing. Because this place is built based upon my spirit, my drive, and my direction as a leader. And that's how all the community is going to function. Every community out there is going to function. You're going to see either the prosperity or the downfall of a community based upon the spirit of the leader of that particular community and how bad they want to get things done. So you're going to have to change your mind. Everything has to change. And I'm saying all this for people out there. The world can do this all day long. They're not too much successful at it. But things are definitely going to have to change. And no matter what way you like it or not, change is being forced upon us anyway. That's just the truth. Some of us can see the writing on the wall. Some can't. I hope you can see the writing on the wall. I want y'all to have a wonderful weekend. Be the Father's will. You can join us tonight on Blog Talk Radio, and I'll put a link down there. .com/straightway. I'll be there to take your phone calls if you have anything you want to ask Pastor Dow. Shalom. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And be encouraged.